She's back. Right. I'll just jump in, I guess.
I mean, I'm gonna edit it in so you say she's back, which no one will understand because they can't hear.
She's back, and you'll never know who. But welcome back to the Just Not Crick podcast. Can I get a whoop, Jamie?
No.
Okay. Well, it's time for season two of Just Not Crick Pod. I'm just saying it's season two because it's been a long enough break, or season 2023.
Is it season three? Because we had the wedding hiatus, and now we've had the Christmas hiatus.
Interesting. I'm gonna say it's season whatever you want it to be.
Cool. Or are we
Um,
doing like an anime structure where you've got one season with two arcs?
I think so. I think we're doing
Okay,
that definitely. It's been
cool.
split in the middle. But yeah, it's been a bit. There's been test matches. There's been ODIs. There's been returns of some beloved players. There's been franchise cricket bit going on there. IPL auctions. That new Amazon Test documentary. You seen it?
No.
No. There's been Christmas. There's been your birthday. Probably more, I would guess. This year we've got, of course, the Ashes. We've got World Cups. We've got cricket happening right now. We also started a cricket team for some reason. Maybe we'll talk about that later. Maybe we'll forget. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to do some plugs at the beginning and see if that makes any difference. But obviously, you're listening to us on Spotify or Apple or Google or wherever. But you can also watch us or watch and listen on YouTube. You can subscribe over there if you want. If not already, why not? Go subscribe. And you can watch us if you want. Don't know why you want to, but you can. Is there? We might do some exclusive videos like we did for the T20 World Cup. But who's to say? Anyway, Jamie. Hello, Jamie.
All right. That was a bit cringe, wasn't it?
Smash that bell icon. I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good. I'm ready to talk about cricket. I feel like I've sort of had a break from cricket, but also not had a break from cricket. Whilst I've kept an eye on everything, but not been heavily invested in everything,
Mhm.
I think would be my vibe.
Yeah.
So it's getting ready to jump straight back into the cricketness verse.
Yeah. Like that's infinitely more than I've done. I've not paid any attention to it.
But
I
it's interesting. So yeah,
I
I'll be able
barely
to
remembered the ODI was on the other day.
the ODI happening right now as well.
Yeah.
So this is going to date our podcast. Um, but yeah, so I thought I would do to jumpstart things is here's what you missed on Glee intro with all the stuff that's happened since our last podcast, which was the 9th of December.
Cue
Um,
montage insert for the video watchers.
yeah, some lovely little happy background music. But right, I'm going to go over it. I've probably most definitely missed some because someone might say there's too much cricket. Um, but let's go. So when we last finished, we just reacted to the first test match between England and Pakistan, which was a great first test back in 2022. England then went on to win that series 3-0. Um, Australia then had their home series against West Indies and South Africa, and they wiped the floor of those pretty easy. India beat Bangladesh in a test series, and Pakistan, New Zealand had a test series, which was a 0-0 draw. Ireland, Zimbabwe, they had a white ball tour. What a fun time that was. New Zealand and India a white ball tour, which I think is still ongoing. I've kind of lost track. There's the under 19s Women's World Cup, which was absolutely balmy semi-final the other day, which we will go into. Australia women versus Pakistan women. Australia women continue their dominance over the sport. Won that easy peasy. BBL is still going on. I've put BBL brackets OL for BB lol. It's on its
Uh,
59th match today and it's still not over. There's a South Africa T20 new franchise competition that started. There's the International League T20, which looks like a big old hot mess. The Bangladesh Premier League, the Super Smash T20 League in New Zealand, and then currently the South Africa and England White Ball Series. How much of that were you aware of, and how much of it were you not?
most of it not. And it's a lot of words that
Yeah.
doesn't pay any relevance to Papua New Guinea
Oh
or
yeah. Yeah. Sorry.
Sikandar Raza.
Namibia.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
who's going to watch or pay attention to all of that if it's not got any Papua New Guinea or Sikandar Raza?
Well, who's going to pay attention to that full stop? I think you'd go insane if you had to try and keep up the tabs of all of that. I'm like, It's a lot. Um, I don't really know what I want to cover from it. Like it feel like it's been too long since England and Pakistan series, which was a great series. He had Ryan Ahmed got his little fiver, which was great. Brooks scored runs for fun. That was just a great series. Um, but other than that, there's just too much.
Yeah, I mean, Stokes, I think he did an Instagram post or a Twitter post,
Yeah,
didn't he, saying, "Oh,
I'm aware.
the schedule is bullshit,"
Yeah,
basically.
yeah,
Like, how can you consistently perform at the highest level if you're always playing at the highest level?
yeah, for sure.
You can't.
I mean, yeah, people would say on the flip side of that, well, you don't have to go play franchise cricket. But at the same time, that's in sum, that's where your most competitive cricket is coming from. So if you want to continue and improve your game, then arguably you're going to have to go to things like the IPL or other franchise leagues to better yourself. And that's not to discredit any other kind of domestic competitions, but the best players are going to be there. That's just sadly the fundamental of it. Um, so I do understand that argument. Also, people come back at Stoke saying, "Oh, but he also didn't go to the IPL last year and he pulled out of the 100." So he's making decisions himself not to fully involve himself in franchise cricket, and he retired from ODIs,
Yeah.
which we may get into later. Um, but yeah, other than that, it's just garbage. What I find hilarious, especially the franchise stuff, I think we'll let's call this is our franchise section. Here we go. We've already jumped into it. I'm most annoyed about this. I find it funny now that you've got
Hold
like
on, wait. Is this our IPL special? Are we
oh
actually
no, not
doing it?
yet.
Ah, okay.
This is our there's three franchises happening at once special. Because you've got at the moment you've got the BBL, South Africa T20, which take a little break for the ODIs, and you've got the International League T20 in Dubai. And it's funny, so you had the BBL which started first, of course. Oh, sorry, there's also the BPL, sorry, the Bangladesh Premier League, lest we forget. Um,
Wait, is there a Papua New Guinea Super League, or
Not
are we
yet,
just
not yet.
okay,
I hope
fine?
so. One day soon. But yeah, the BB LOL. So that started first. Obviously, it's on the 59th match now. But what I find hilarious about that is that you had players start there, but then not see the competition through because they're then prioritizing other franchises over that franchise, which is just like, is this where we're getting to? So we've got like Trent Bolt, for example, or Faf du Plessis, big overseas players for the BBL, play like half the tournament, then they go get a bigger paycheck in Dubai. So it's like, is this what we're at now? Is this just we're here's a mediocre T20 league that's not really aged well in the last 10 years. Let's go to another where all the money's at. But the international league one is just it's just rubbish. It's empty crowds, empty stands, sorry. It's players who kind of you feel like are past it or past their peak at least. So I mean, I love people like Ravi, but Ravi's there as a one of the big players, and it's like, well, Ravi's not going to be drawing you in.
I mean,
Um,
Ravi would barely draw you in at his peak. And that's nothing against Ravi. He just wasn't like a, at that good of a player.
what wasn't a
And I,
great.
I, no, like I
I
say
love
that as
Ravi.
someone who loves Ravi as well. Like
Yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah,
just all
yeah.
right, mate.
Yeah, I think someone who could definitely achieve a little bit more, but that's it's just a league where like the investors and people and that have just thrown money at getting big players, and it's all about kind of media coverage and media rights. But who's going to want to watch it when you're watching an empty stadium with people just battering it around? It's just like there's no enthusiasm or love for that. Like it's just a bit bleh. Who cares? I think everyone kind of shares the same kind of sentiments. Um, and it's weird as well, like how Root played in that. He's now in New Zealand instead of playing this ODI series against South Africa because the ECB wanted him to have subcontinent conditions ahead of the World Cup. But it's kind of a weird line, I feel like. Do you want to get him? He's not played ODI cricket in a little while, I think. So do you not want to get him back in the ODI side for a bit, get that team gelling properly, leading into that World Cup? Because he knows how to play subcontinent. He's been around for ages. He's made his debut in India. I don't really know what else he's picking up from there. And you're not playing a T20 in the World Cup, 50 overs. So it's just a bit like, I don't really get it. Um, but then on the flip side, I think franchise cricket done right. You've got the South Africa T20, which started off kind of in um, what's the word, controversy, because obviously South Africa pulled out of a white ball tour of Australia, so all their players could be available for this. But you look at that, it's got full crowds. It's at the peak of their summer. It's good cricket, it's high quality players, and that's the difference. That's like it feels like a shorter competition as well. It's not like the BBL, BBLOL that goes on for 8 years. It's it's a shorter condensed competition which allows the best players to play against each other in a place, South Africa, where you want to see cricket thriving, and watching cricket in South Africa is one of my favorites. I love it. Like I'm more interested about this ODI series because it's in South Africa. It's just I think it's really interesting cricket and it's really good high quality stuff. So it's just a duality and a difference. I think it's a
Mm.
mess. What's your takeaway from you the
I
current,
mean,
the
no,
current franchise state?
I mean, I basically echo what you said. Like the
Mm,
major difference between like the stuff happening in UAE or Dubai or wherever the fuck.
yeah.
Who knows? Who cares? Like it's a competitiveness, isn't it?
Hmm.
Like you were saying, the shorter length allows for more players to play in that time period to allow for a better competitive
Yeah.
edge between two teams and
Hmm.
therefore between the whole competition. Every team's got a chance to beat the other. But
Definitely.
if that talent field is more spread out, there's more like bit part players. Like if you go, was it Dubai?
The International League T20.
Sure.
Yeah, Abu Dhabi, Dubai. Yeah.
Like surely you'll have more like sort of homegrown local players that aren't going to be up to scratch in the same
Mm,
way that Root or De Kock or Bolt or whoever the fuck decided to play there.
yeah.
And that makes the games themselves less interesting because they're just a bit more shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I
Yeah.
think another aspect, it's not necessarily for or against franchise cricket, but it can allow players like Jofra, who's been out for a long time, to build up fitness and rhythm again without doing it over a long sort of period in a game, like as opposed to like just throwing him in a test match,
Yeah.
which
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
England teams of old definitely would have done, and then just broken him, and then he wouldn't have been able to come back
For sure.
again. But having the franchise leagues gives injured players the opportunity to go, if you're a bowler, play bowl 4 overs, see how you do, go off. If you need to miss the next game, then great. It's a really good sort of fitness regime to get you back in
I think so.
after a long-term injury.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially when it's like you say, when it's short and condensed, it
Yeah.
makes much more sense. And someone like Jofra is perfect. Like he's coming back into high quality competitive cricket and he'll pick it up straight away.
Yeah.
No, I think it's ideal. And yeah, it's that international league is nonsense. And it's sad, but like players like Bolt. Because I don't know if you saw, if we discussed it in the podcast, it's been so long that he turned down a Central New Zealand contract um, in favour of going to play more franchise cricket.
What is he
Um,
on?
yeah, so it means he didn't play in the Pakistan Test series because he was playing in the BBL, and he's not going to be playing in the upcoming England New Zealand
Mhm.
Test series because either the International League T20 or the South Africa one, whichever one he's gone to, is only finishing a few days before. So New Zealand's coach has come out and said, well, he's not going to be available. So it just feels like when you get to that stage where one of your prime players is picking and choosing that franchise stuff over internationals, it's just a bit
Mhm.
orcs.
It makes
Especially for a player
the
like Bolt.
hollowness of the competition that much more apparent because,
Yeah.
like, you already think franchise cricket and associate it with players going to just play for the money. But when it's in a country that hasn't got really much of a cricketing heritage
Mm.
or a
Yeah.
cricketing fan base, then why else would the players be going to play there? They're not going to build the sport or build the
Well,
profile of the
exactly.
sport.
Yeah. That's
They're
what I'm
like,
going to.
compare it to, say, Ronaldo leaving United or getting fired by United because he was a dickhead to then join Al
Oh,
Nasser in Middle East
yeah.
because he couldn't get any offers for a
Well,
Champions
yeah.
League club and he's getting paid a fuck ton. Like your main priority, I think Ronaldo's a little bit different in that his main priority was to play top level, then realized, oh, I'll just go. I can't do that, so
Yeah.
I best get paid. Whereas
Take what I can
cricketers are a
get.
bit weird
Yeah.
because Trent Bolt, as an example, had the opportunity to play at the highest level possible for
Mm.
him and then chose the
absolutely.
money.
Yeah,
Like
it's yeah.
I
I find it
find
just
it
strange.
hard.
Yeah,
I find it hard to knock the players for going after the money, but I'm still going to knock them because like
yeah.
sort of it feels morally off, if you know what I mean.
I think for one of the custodians of New Zealand cricket as well, because it's not like New Zealand have been playing like B series,
Yeah.
um, I don't really think many international series are B series anymore. Um, but they toured Pakistan, and now they're in India. I mean, they're not easy places to play. They're like against very good quality opposition. Like Cody's now scoring runs for fun again, so it's not like he's missing, I don't want to discredit a team, or like, he's missing, Ireland are touring and they're doing like two ODIs or Zimbabwe or whatever. And he feels like, oh, maybe I could focus on the next test championship game. But it's just like, no, I'm not playing any of this because all these franchises happening this time. And I guess it's just for different players and what they want. And he's given a lot to New Zealand, played loads of games. But, someone like Mitchell Stark has just completely ruled himself out of franchise cricket because he just wants to play for Australia.
Yeah.
And I think there's always going to be two different players. I think I'm always going to slightly respect people like Mitchell Stark more, because they feel like the longevity of their career and who they are as players is going to survive more in someone like Test cricket. Um, but I think we're going to be going more and more into that world. Like Will Smeed at Somerset, for example, is another prime person who only signed a white ball contract with Somerset, which means he can go off potentially during summer when the hundreds finished. He could go off to play in the Caribbean Premier League or the new USA League that's starting this year. Um, but Will Smith's not really someone who's like played much first class cricket, so it will be different. Say if I don't know someone like Harry Brooks signed a white ball only deal
Yeah.
and ruled himself out of first class cricket, but still wants to play tests. It's I don't know. It's a difficult thing. I don't really know where cricket's going. This is my problem. I
Hmm.
don't know what is the end goal of this because there is the overall. I think Sky did a quick thing the other day. I'll quickly just share it, which is just kind of re-emphasizing everything we've said. But the number of franchises we've got over a year. So if we start from last August, September, which is when they started, you've got the Caribbean Premier League. You've then got the Sri Lanka Premier League. You've got the Big Bash League. You've got the Super Smash in New Zealand. You've got the Bangladesh Premier League. You've got the South Africa T20. You've got the International League, of course, in UAE.
Yeah.
You've got the Pakistan Super League. You've got the IPL. You've got the Major League Cricket in the USA. You've got the 100. And you've got obviously Vitality T20 Blast. So it's
I
just
think you've forgotten the 60.
oh yeah, sorry, yeah. I don't know if that's going to get a second season, but where are you going to find in between that? Because there's going to be more and more money and more investors in all of those franchises because each one's want to be better than the other. They want to get the better players, so they're going to throw more money at it, and then they're going to get more players away from international cricket, and then suddenly you're going to have to be like, where can we find our windows for international cricket?
Mhm.
And it's slowly, very quickly becoming more and more condensed and smaller. And I think it's in many ways in the doom mongering, it's too late
Mm.
because it's all these franchises have already got their foot in, they've already got their money, they've already got their investors. So it's going to be difficult for boards across the country and world to like wrangle it, be like, no, we want I don't know, an India South Africa test series here now. Like South Africa don't hardly play any test cricket over the next 5-6 years. It's just a bit good time to
I
start a cricket
yeah,
podcast.
right. Like I suppose the benefit to
Mm,
white ball cricket is it's like infinitely more easier to push into a competition in a
yeah,
short space of time. Like
yeah,
ODIs, T20s, you can just make a World Cup, fit it in a month, and it's done.
yeah.
For just for a test match series, you might not be done in a month.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
true.
hard to like quantify that into like its own separate competition. Like they've tried to do it with the Test Championship, but like you can't really do it in a way where, oh, this is the Test match quarterfinals. It's going to last for 5 days.
Yeah,
Maybe it
yeah.
might be rained off. In which case,
Probably.
who gets through then? Because you can't really then have like a super over for a Test match, can you?
No,
You
no,
can have a
true.
super day,
Yeah, super. I love that super day. That's great.
and
But
then
yeah,
like
yeah,
Test
you're right.
matches don't even have to like if a team bats through and still has wickets in hand and gets the draw. How does that work in terms of
Yeah,
like a knockout
yeah,
tournament? It's just not compatible in that way, which
yeah.
works against it in how you sort of expand and evolve it. So, like, while I think Test cricket is the pinnacle of the sport and like the highest quality you can play,
Mm.
I don't think you can evolve it anymore. It's at its end cycle in that terms.
Potentially, yeah. That's obviously what you feel like Baz and the Stokes are trying to do and try and reinvigorate it and make it more like accessible to those who love T20 and love white ball stuff by making it quicker, higher paced, that
But
kind of vibe.
that's just the way they play it. That's just the
Mm.
tactics they're employing. That's not
Yeah, not
changing the
not not the
actual
fundamentals of the
formats
game
of the.
itself. No, no. Yeah. Tricky because you'd also say, I think, all the franchise players, the big top dollar draw players are those who've made a name for themselves on the international stage, most likely Test cricket. Like Archer was obviously in and about it before he played for England, but that one World Cup, that Ashes series, Stokes is fundamentally much better player because he's played international cricket. If you're going to take that life source away from the game and it's just franchise, will players develop in the same way? I don't know. Like it's just like are you going to watch lesser cricket? I mean, I'm sure players will still be good, but where are you going to get those talent pools from? If suddenly it's all franchises, are you really going to have youth setups from Somerset producing players or whatever? Oh, let's move on to happier stuff. I think that will be our franchise talk
That's the franchise talk for this season.
for this episode. Next time, when there's another franchise competition that starts in the next week.
IPL special coming soon.
Um, I think let's talk about some upcoming and current things. I think one of the most exciting things that's popping off at the moment, the final, I think, which is happening today. So again, this is going to date our podcast, but I don't think the final is going to be as good as the semi-final. Is the under-19s T20 World Cup, so the women's T20 World Cup. It's a final between England and India because, of course, it is. Um, but India beat New Zealand and England beat Australia. But the semi final was nonsense. It was playing at the same time as the first ODI, which is classic scheduling for the ICC. Um, but I had because there's too much cricket. I hadn't really been paying much. I knew it was going on, and I knew there was some wild stuff going on, but I wouldn't really play it much heed. Did watch the semi. Started well. England were 38 for six, batting first, and I thought, well, that's over, that's done. And then they scrambled to get to 99. And against Australia, you'd think that's not really going to happen. Dismissed Australia for 96. So I mean, winning by the barest of
Uh,
margins. It was just like it was nonsense. I mean, some of the batting, I think you could see that what pressure was being built and what pressure was doing to some of the shot choices and things like that. But it was just some of the bowling was just fantastic. You had Hannah Baker got 3 for 10, the captain. Grace Scrivens got 2 for 8, got the vital wicket at the end. But it was just like madness. It was like suddenly they were 9 down, and then suddenly Australia started to whack it and think, oh, they're going to do it now. And then suddenly came in 96 all out. It was crazy. So I just wanted to say that as my overall analysis. It was nonsense, but I enjoyed it very much. But yeah, just to kind of see the support and excitement for people around the world for, you know, women's game, but not just a women's game, an under-19 women's game. I think was really, really exciting to see. And hopefully they'll be up and coming and maybe some might feature very soon. There's a women's T20 World Cup in February. So that's another thing to get hyped for. Let's be honest, Australia are going to win that, but it's fine. Um, I guess you didn't watch it. I would ask your thoughts, but I mean,
I mean, you've been sending me some clips from
yeah,
women's games, which I assume have been from the World Cup.
I think
I
so. Yeah, some
wasn't
of them.
aware the under 19s World Cup was going on.
Yeah,
So when you were sending me these clips, I was just like, oh, there's a lot of women's
fun.
games on at the
Yeah,
minute.
yeah.
But it seems like it's been a bit of a wild tournament in general. Like I'm not sure if there was a man card. There probably was a man card.
I think I think there might have been, yeah, one of the early
Um,
games. Yeah,
like there was that one where I can't remember the two teams, but the batsman ran for two, and the bowler sort of like shuffled themselves to nudge the batsman out of the crease. and it
Oh
was a direct
yeah,
hit.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I can't remember which
It was,
battle that was.
yeah.
But yeah, I
Um,
remember that. Yeah, I think
it
could
might
that
have
have
been
been
like
Australia, Pakistan? I don't know, but yeah,
I don't. I'm thinking like South Africa, India for some reason.
might have been. I can't remember. Yeah, so there's been a lot of wild stuff, but it's got people talking, which is good, and it's
Yeah.
not like it's just kind of a tournament that's just kind of been like forgotten about and disregarded. But I think there's so much up and coming great talent. Like you saw the men's under-19 World Cup last year, like Rayan Ahmed featured
Mhm.
heavily in that, and now he's playing Test cricket. So it's quite fun just keep a little eye and be like, oh, who's doing well? Let's see them in a few years. So that was fun. I enjoyed that. Um, Australia v India, and India is coming up next week. Test series vibes. I think that's going to be interesting. In that, I hope that India win. But no, I think Australia are going to struggle in that series. In all honesty, I think they don't play particularly well in subcontinent. Kohli's back in runs. They are missing Pant following his like horrific car accident injury recently. I think Jadeja might be fit, but I still think India at home is a tricky competitor. But Australia have got some interesting fixtures. Obviously, India away, then Ashes, so could be fun.
I mean, it's a
Um, and
good
it,
series for them to warm up to the Ashes.
yeah, I guess.
Like some teams would just go, "Oh, let's just have Bangladesh at home,
Yeah,
get some fitness." But the
get
like
runs in.
a bit of respect for them going away from home, like probably the toughest place you can go to get
Toughest tour,
prepared
I
for
think,
it.
yeah, definitely the toughest place you can definitely go and play at the moment. I mean, considering they had very, very easy wins over West Indies and South Africa at home, I think it's quite difficult to gauge where this side is at the moment. Because you look at it, you got like, Cummins, Hazelwood, Stark, Lyon, Warner, Smith, Labuschagne. On the face of it, you'd be like, oh, very good. Um, a lot of their crickets come from home. I mean, they won in Pakistan last year, 1-0 series win. I think they drew in Sri Lanka though. So I think when you really kind of test their strength in depth, I think that's going to be interesting because Travis Head is in the runs, but if Warner suddenly goes on a failed streak, he got a double hundred in one of the test matches, but that's been about it. You wonder how much he's got left in the tank. If Labuschagne's not towards India before, it could be either messy or a very good series.
Mhm.
So I'm interested. Interested is the word. Um, we then have only a couple more things, I think. So England v New Zealand, two test match series starts next month. Again, Bazball, looking forward to it. Vibes,
Yeah,
vibes,
yeah, Bazball vibes.
vibes,
I mean,
vibes. Good
you don't
vibes.
need to say anything with England Test match anymore. It's
I
just
know.
Bazball,
Yeah.
win,
I
move
it
on.
it is that kind of overnight stuff, isn't it, with New Zealand? So it's staying up or whatever for that. But I feel with Bazball, I might have to have a few early starts. That's fine. um, So franchises we've done, ODI series. So yeah, they've crammed in an ODI series of England and South Africa at the moment. It's currently ongoing. Joss is just a timestamp. This is currently on 83. So we won't talk about the current game too much, I guess. Brooks and runs. Brooke is in the runs. Sorry, not Brooks. Uh, Joss in the runs. Mo got 50, which is good for Mo. Um, but I guess we'd quickly look over that first game. Two main things. First one is Jofra was back. How excited were you for Jofra?
The most excited I've been about cricket since, I guess, the last time we Bazballed,
Yeah,
which in fairness is like was only a couple of months ago, but
yeah,
still,
yeah.
like he's one of those once in a generation kind of players
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
that has been blighted by injuries for like 2, 3 years.
Mm,
So whenever you've got the opportunity to see him, you have to just have to appreciate it when you do. And I don't think it
yeah.
was great, but he got a wicket.
Yeah, he went for eight
It
and
was
over,
like,
but he bowled 10 overs, which is good for his fitness. He
yeah,
got one for
exactly.
80 odd. And he got after he only been bowling, 4 over spells in the South Africa T20s. It's really good for him to get through 10. He's being rested today, which is obviously makes complete sense.
Yeah.
And then he'll probably play the last ODI. But yeah, just getting him back around, actually playing is really good. Just hearing him talk about how much cricket he's missed and how much he's missed it is
Mm.
just like
Like
welcome back.
in some ways, it matters more than the result, which
I'd
doesn't
say
matter.
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because we've already qualified for the World Cup. It's good for us to get the idea of where we are at a team who's kind of on the fringes who comes in. I think people saying, oh, England are bad at ODI cricket, just like it's fine. You're missing Best, so you're missing Root, missing Livingston, missing Wood. So he didn't play Wokes on Friday either. And Jay Roy got 100 again, which was it felt like he very needed this. I think if he hadn't have got 100 in this series, I think he still would have gone on to the next tour in Bangladesh. But I think his place would have been very much under jeopardy for that World Cup. But I'd be very surprised if he didn't play in that World Cup now.
I still think post World Cup, he's most likely not going to be in the team anymore.
I think a lot of players,
I don't think 100 is going to change people's views of him. Like
I don't think so.
It was a great knock.
Yeah.
But what he got 8 today?
So 8 or 9, yeah.
Yeah, like his consistency in white balls just sort of gone off a bit. So I think this is beginning of the end or middle of the end.
Yeah, I think it does lead up to that vibe. Like, I feel like players like Mo, I think Rashid, after that World Cup, I think there's going to be a few who move on, which is fine. And they've played, since that 2015 World Cup, they've been, huge crucial parts of the team. But I think you got Will Jacks coming through. You got obviously Harry Brook, people like Will Smeed, people knocking on the door, being like, I think the time for the next load of players is probably now. So one last hurrah, I think is fine. Speaking of that, it was one of our questions on the Twitter when I said we were doing a podcast, is that we were asked if we want to discuss the possibility of Ben Stokes coming back for the World Cup. Would you say if he said he made himself available before the World Cup, having not played any ODIs, would you have him?
Oh, I don't know. It's really tough. I don't know. It's because he's a great player, but my mindset is if you've said you're not going to play ODIs anymore, you should stick to that. And like he's just won a T20 World Cup basically on his own in 2 matches. He's test captain. So the vibe I got when he announced his retirement, it was that he was trying to balance his schedule and his workload so that he could better focus on the test captaincy and then have a bit more freedom and fun batting and playing T20s. So if he were to come back with the ODIs, would that sort of imbalance what he's attempted to do? And would that affect how he then plays in the ODIs? I don't think you need a lot of ODI games to get into that sort of rhythm.
No.
Like if you're playing some T20s, you're basically okay for your ODIs. If he's available, you've got to play him.
Yeah.
But I don't think he should make himself available. I think
I really don't think he is going to. You have like a lot of people behind the scenes like keep asking people like Matthew Mott, what do you reckon about Ben Stokes coming back? And he's just like, if he's there, we'll talk about it. And, doors always open and stuff. But I think Stokes is just like, nah. Like his body and everything that he's got going on, I don't think he would be thinking about that at all. He won the last one. He just won the T20 World Cup. It could come to a fruition that he only just plays Test cricket. He just won the T20 one. So what does he really want to carry on? England don't play 2020 cricket for a while. He might think, well, I'll just play red ball, or he might retire from T20s and then go back to ODIs.
It's a bit of a slap in the face for other players that have been trying to get their place in the team. For them to, sorry, mate, Stokes is available again. You're out. Like they've put all that hard work. Like they would understand because it's Stokes.
I know.
But it's still really harsh on them.
Oh, for sure.
And wrong. It's wrong on someone to put in that work and then be told, this other guy who's basically a legend just gets in just because you worked hard, but it doesn't matter because this guy is just better than you and we like him.
Yeah.
So
I think he would have to make
himself Harry Brook or Ben Duckett.
He would have to make himself available, I think, for the pointless ODIs in September against kind of New Zealand and Ireland if he wanted to be in the frame, I think. I don't think he's going to do it. I think it's just a media talk, just try and get him up and going. I would love to see him in the team because I think he's obviously one of the best players. He obviously did so much in the field, bat, ball, everything. I just think he's going to do it. I just would not see it happening.
As much as it would be good for the team, I don't want him to do it. I want people to like stick to their word and have their own sort of
Yeah,
like moral standing and like ethical code. And I think Stokes is that sort of person.
I think he
And
is.
I think it's going to like again, he did that scheduling tweet the other day, and I think he dropped ODIs because of the fucked up schedule.
Yeah, I think
So
if there was time and for him to, I think he would still want to play it, but I don't think he just I don't think he can on his body. If he wants to continue his test career, I think he doesn't want to do that. And you've got players like Sam Curran, who's currently smashing it around in South Africa.
yeah,
Like, he's up and coming. He can kind of fit in that kind of all-rounder mold eventually. If Mo is in the run, that really helps out that kind of all-rounder position. But yeah, I think there's plenty of other players who can fit in. Right. Last thing, we didn't have a break. We're back.
cold open
Um,
part two.
Cold open. So one of our other this is almost like our engagement section with all our fans. Another question we had was our fans wanted us to know. I say fans, Mariam, who on Twitter asked us, what is our Ashes team for the first Ashes test? I thought let's do one together rather than one each.
Cool. I also
We have to
think it
decide.
makes a lot of sense to do it several months in advance.
I think I asked this question on Twitter a few months ago, a few weeks ago, just if on the Prasada that everybody's fit, who do you play? And I think I'm now going to ask my question back to us, as was the question asked to us on the Twitters. Um, Openers, I think it's Crawley and we said Lees, Duckett.
Yeah, yeah,
I
same.
can't see them changing that in 3 or 4 tests unless Leeds goes absolutely berserk
Mhm.
in county cricket. I can't see them going anywhere else. So I guess Leeds again. Crawley, Duckett. Yep,
Yeah, I mean, Lee's got 100 in the Lions,
he did.
so
Yeah,
I don't think it's as cut and dry as just Duckett's in, but Duckett played well last test,
no,
so why
I
not?
think
Yeah.
he'll. Yeah, if an injury happened, I think Leeds would be the next person in. I think that would
Mhm.
be what to expect. Number 3, Ollie Pope.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be quite simple. Number 4, Mr. Joe Root. I'm guessing
Who?
Joe Root. Sorry. 5 is the interesting calls. So I'm this is difficult. Okay, we'll come back to
Mhm.
5. 6, Stokes.
Stokes. I mean, is
7,
is seven not difficult because of
5 and
five?
7 we're coming back to. 5 and
Yeah.
7 we're coming back to. They're the big questions. 8, I would be going with Ollie Robinson.
I mean, if we're saying if fully
Everyone's
fit,
fit.
everyone's fully
Everyone's fit.
fit, Jofra.
I
Not
would Jofra would play in the series for sure. I don't think he starts the series.
well, if Jofra's fully fit, that's the
That's a
condition
can of
we've been given
worms.
ourselves.
I know. I
So
would.
if we're
Oh,
having a fully fit, fully firing Jofra, you can't
how
not
okay?
have Jofra.
How about
So I scupper your hypothetical.
okay? How about this is what I put out. This is my personal.
I'd also have Jofra captain, just
Mm,
saying.
my personal is Anderson, Broad, Archer, Robinson, no Leach,
Okay.
and Roach is
What
spinner.
do we know what the venue is for the
Edgerton is
first?
test one, I think, which spins
Mm.
apparently.
I would leave one of Jofra or Robinson out for a spinner, not necessarily
I
Leach, but
just
not
think
necessarily not Leach.
I just think Robinson's undroppable. Right, let me get his stats up. Ollie Robinson stats. Um, I think he's just gone so much under the radar. Right, so his bowling in Test cricket, he bowled so well in Pakistan as well.
Yeah,
60 wickets at 20 in 14 games.
that's fine.
It's very good. I would think Robinson should play in England. He should
I,
definitely be one of the first players on the C sheet.
fine. If we're
Um,
being realistic,
Yeah,
Jofra doesn't play in the first match.
I don't think he does if he's fit or
It'll
not.
be
Yeah,
Robinson,
I think
Broad, Jimmy, probably Leach.
I think
I
so.
think we
I
do
think
need a
yeah.
spinner.
I
I'd want a spinner regardless of the pitch anyway, just for that extra
yeah,
option. And if we've got Stokes as an extra bowler, Root is just a out and out all
bits and
rounder.
pieces.
Out,
Yeah,
he's a
I think I think he suits you more if you're playing somewhere, I don't know, Headingley or somewhere where you don't necessarily need a frontline spinner
yeah,
potentially.
sure.
I saying that Leach got freaking 10 for it Headingley.
Mm.
So what am I talking about? Um um I think it will be Anderson, Broad, Leach, Robinson for that first test. I think that's safety.
I think
um
Rehan for an outside chance in that
yeah, I
spinner
think
slot.
probably it depends how Leach does in New Zealand and then the Ireland test. I think Leach will again start.
Yeah,
Um
sure.
but I think sooner or later, I did do a little tweet about this the other day. Like sooner or later, Rehan is going to become not someone you just talk about and think is going to be good. He's someone you're playing. You
Yeah,
can't say like this is a prospect. No, he's now
yeah.
playing. Um, so we'll see how that goes. I think they are managing well though by not dragging him to New Zealand where he won't play. I think that's good. For all the amount we absolutely
Mhm.
belittled the International League T20, I think it's good for him to just go play some cricket. That's fine. Okay, so I think begrudgingly, I think we're agreeing on
Yeah.
Anderson, Broad, Robinson, Leach, yeah.
I mean,
But then you've also got the problem that Mark Wood, I think, has been one of the best Test cricket bowlers for England in recent times as well.
I
So,
think
do
this
you
is.
shuffle Wood and Archer throughout the series and play someone pace on regardless, and only play one of Anderson and Broad every game?
I think it depends on the venue, what that venue's like historically offered, what the pitch
Yeah,
looks like on the day. I think the captain should have like some wiggle room at the toss to be like,
sure.
if it looks like it's going to do this, I'm going to drop this person bar second for this
Yeah,
person. And that should be sort of acceptable. And the team should be like, yeah, fair enough.
we've also not even mentioned Matt Potts.
I mean, it's quite good that we've got what, like six potential
Yeah,
seamers,
yeah. But that's
two
I reckon we should play
spinners.
Craig Overton.
It's Jamie Overton or nothing.
Yeah, I see. I think I don't know if this is giving you an answer, Marin, but I think
It is
I,
four of Robinson, Archer, Broad, Anderson, Leach, Rehan, Potts,
Potts,
Stone, Wood.
Stone. Oh man,
So
I
yeah,
think maybe they
pick
will
four of
play.
those nine.
I
Maybe we
think they
should just
might.
play nine bowlers.
Yeah,
Stokes and
probably.
Root can open.
Yeah,
See how we
because I
go.
think you want that pace, that point of difference. I think so. I think they will play Wood or Archer over each. But then, is it too old England to go safety to go Anderson, Broad, Robinson, Leach? Is that too old fashioned of England? Is that not baseball enough?
I mean, the number of times I've been saying I think England should transition to be playing one of Broad and Anderson
Mm,
because of the amount of talent we've got
yeah.
bowling wise and because of their age. Whenever I've said that, one or both of them have gone on and just torn it to shreds. So
This is the thing because you can't not play Broad in that first test against Warner. You just can't.
yeah,
That'd just be silly. And then you've also got Anderson at home. Can't not play Anderson.
yeah. On, I mean, let's just say Broad Anderson are locked in.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we should play.
They'll probably all be injured by this time anyway. So
Yeah,
I this is why I didn't want to play a spinner, but I feel like they will play a spinner. So it's
I,
like, is it what I want or is what the world is going to give me?
I think we should always play a spinner just for
Yeah,
that option. Like,
yeah,
even if it's not a spinning pitch, might do a leech at Headingley.
yeah. We've got a
I'd
bit of variety.
go in favor of Rehan just because I
Vibes.
want a bit of, yeah, vibes,
Yeah,
chaos, unknown quantity.
yeah.
I think that last spot should always be a bit of a horses for courses
I think so. I think they
thing
probably will be, to
anyway.
be honest. I don't think they
Um,
will drop anyone from the team. It'll be like, no, we're just rotating.
yeah, if you want a locked in answer, Sam Cook.
There we go. Um, Final point. The other contentious position is the 5 and 7,
Mhm.
mainly because of who keeps. Because Harry Brook was player of the series in Pakistan and is continuing just to score runs for fun. but obviously Johnny Bairstow probably had the best summer he's ever had as a cricketer. And I would say, contrary to other people, he walks straight back in, plays a bit of cricket, he's in form, he's the incumbent, he comes back in. Um,
Is he in form though? I'm the country to other people in that he can't be in form if he's not been playing. He has been in form when he last played, but it's been so long since he last played. You
true.
can't say he's
However,
confidently going to come back in form.
however, vibes. Um,
You've sold me.
um,
Baseball. I'm in.
yeah, yeah. Because say if it was Root and Root got injured, and then Root was suddenly fit and available, would you not play Root?
No, that's
You'd
fair.
say,
Yeah.
um,
I think
it's
that is less of the argument. The argument is more if Bairstow does just drop back in,
mm,
who's the keeper?
yeah,
Does being keeper affect how well Bairstow plays?
well, exactly, yeah, because I don't think
Does
they want him to keep.
Bairstow then bat at what, seven?
Yeah,
After batting so well at five,
5.
does Brook bat six? Is Stokes batting as low down as seven? Are we
That
just
is the
going to
other
have a
thing.
flexible
Yeah,
batting order? If
yeah,
Bairstow
because you
doesn't
you could
keep,
all.
are we going to have Pope
I mean,
keeping?
Pope
Is
kept in
Duckett going to
Pakistan. Yeah,
keep? It's
Duckett. This makes it so difficult. That's why I'm hoping someone gets injured. I mean, it's a good problem to have, but I
uh,
don't think it's a problem you can solve. Because Folks is your best keeper. He did pretty well in the last test he played in Pakistan. But is he the kind of player in for this team? I worry that is Folks the player that should have been playing the last 5 years? Is he the player to be playing now? I think it's
but then saying that last year when we had
he
the
had
New
great
Zealand
summer. Yeah,
series, he was part of that partnership
yeah,
with
of course
Root
he
at
was. Yeah, yeah,
Lords that
yeah. He got
saw England
100
had.
at Manchester as well against
Yeah,
South Africa. I it's I think it's an impossible question if I'm all honest. I think you do bite the bullet. I would want both Brook and Bairstow playing.
we should
Um,
just play a team of batsmen and then
I
a
think
team
so.
of
And someone just yeah,
bowlers. I
yeah.
think that's fairest. Australia can have 11 players. We'll have 22.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's the answer, I think. It's impossible to answer. um I can see them playing both Brook and Bairstow. Depends how Brook goes on though, I suppose. They were quite flattish in Pakistan,
Yeah.
but he's been scoring runs everywhere. I
Mm.
think most likely, I don't think Bairstow will keep. I think Bairstow will come back in at 5, Brook will bat 6, Stokes will bat 7, and Pope will keep.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the best case scenario,
The Dom
really.
best.
That's the end of the pod. Forever, not just this episode. We're done.
But yeah, I think that will be our answer in the
Yeah.
most unconfirmed way possible. But yeah, I think we're slowly rounding up. I think you had a
Yeah.
very, very quick, just not quick pod before we go.
Yeah. So I've been watching a lot of anime recently, like
Hmm,
specifically My Hero Academia and Hunter x Hunter. And it's sort of,
sure.
they've both like made me take a look at it myself. It's like made me discover new things about myself that
Uh-huh.
I wouldn't have like previously thought about.
Right.
And I think like asking very profound questions. I think the most like prominent of which is just, do I like J-pop now? I think
Do
I
you?
do. I think I do.
Okay. If you like J-pop, do let us know what your favorite J-pop is in the comment. Okay, I mean, I don't really know what to do with that information. I
I
came in
mean,
here expecting something Witcher, and you come up with J-pop.
I think it's a travesty that The Witcher doesn't have Henry Cavill anymore.
Let's play J-pop. I agree, but yeah, rubbish.
But
Maybe I'll go listen to J-pop for next episode. I'll let you know my thoughts.
you go and not listen to J-pop. I'll go and not watch more cricket.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that about does it. I hope it was fun to listen to and have us back. We'll try and make it regular, I suppose, but who knows? We
Emphasis
have
on
got
try.
try. We kind of did a big old cricket splurge of stuff this episode because we've got some other things we're going to try in a few upcoming episodes, which I think will be fun. Maybe. But yeah, in the meantime, where can people find us, Jamie?
Here, right now.
But if they're not here right now, if the podcast has ended, where do they go? What do they if they want more cricket content from us? Where do they
Yeah,
go?
I was just wasting some time to actually remember what our handles are. Just not Prick Pod.
Yeah,
Instagram,
yeah,
Twitter. We're on
and
YouTube.
and
Uh, oh, TikTok.
TikTok,
Oh,
yeah,
Christ. I forgot about we have TikTok.
a thriving TikTok. So
Honestly,
yeah,
what are you doing following us on TikTok? Like, do
100,
because it helps
129
us,
people love to
but
follow us
like,
on
what are
TikTok.
you on?
So yeah, do follow us if you want, even if you
I
take offense.
definitely follow us, but definitely take offense,
Why?
you weirdos. Why are you following cricket content on TikTok?
Oh, we'll
Why
see
do
you
you
next
have
time.
TikTok? You're not 20 anymore.
Sad.
It's a great way to end this one.
Bye.